Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we're going to go through another myth busting series where I walk you through 3 commonly heard terms, phrases or opinions and tell you whether or not they are true. 99.9% of the time they're not true. If you do enjoy the video, please drop a like. If you have any questions throughout, throw them down below. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. Let's go. Okay, number 1, we have a big one. Very commonly heard. Healthy versus unhealthy foods. So the idea that some foods are healthier than other foods. Now, this is incorrect. This is a myth because this way of thinking, healthy versus unhealthy, actually just leads to a lot bigger or further problems down the line when it comes to people's relationship with food. Yes, some foods might be more nutritious than other foods, so they might be containing more micronutrients, so vitamins, minerals, stuff like that. They might be containing, let's say, better sources of fats, so your polyunsaturated, monounsaturated in comparison to like trans fats. But the idea of one food just being better in general than the other, especially towards a goal, let's say it's fat loss or gaining muscle mass, can just cause people to get a bad relationship with food and view food in a problematic way. Because the reality is this: as long as you're having a balanced diet, okay, so you are including some foods that are very nutritious. Foods that aren't as nutritious, or what people want to claim as unhealthy food, aren't going to be an issue at all. Okay, you can drop body fat while still including some of those foods. You can gain muscle mass while still including some of those foods. So the idea of healthy versus unhealthy is one that I'd personally try and stay away from. And instead, look at each individual food for the properties that it contains. So that might include the amount of nutrients within it, but that might also include the amount of calories within it for your goal. That might also include the amount of volume that that food item's gonna take up, right? So again, look at different properties of that food in relation to what you're trying to achieve. That's a better way of looking at it than just healthy versus unhealthy. Number 2, smaller, more frequent meals are better or best for fat loss. This is complete nonsense. In terms of size of meals and frequency of meals, all it comes down to is your personal preference and what fits with your routine and lifestyle. The reason why a lot of people say this and the idea and thought process behind it is that just eating food, digesting food, absorbing food burns calories, right? Doing that in itself burns calories. It's called the thermic effect of food. So the idea is that if you're having more smaller, frequent meals through the day, that's going to boost that, so therefore boosting your metabolism and boosting the amount of calories you burn. However, it's not really correct. When they compare, smaller, more frequent and bigger and less frequent meals, what it comes down to is your actual total caloric intake in terms of how many calories you're then going to burn from it. So this doesn't really actually help, doesn't make sense in terms of actually doing what a lot of people say it does. So when it comes to choosing a meal frequency and meal size, that's just going to come down to your personal preference. If you find eating more frequent meals, smaller meals throughout the day, help with calorie control, help with hunger management, then go for it. But if you find having more bigger meals and spaced out more throughout the day help for you and your fat loss goals, then again, pick that route. And then lastly, we have the idea that snacking is bad for fat loss. As with anything now, if you've seen a lot of my videos, hopefully you're coming to the conclusion that nothing is ever good or bad. Okay, it's never this or that, it's never yes or no. There's so many different things that we have to take into consideration. And snacking is exactly that. Snacking isn't necessarily bad for fat loss. If you can make sure you're still moderating and controlling your calorie intake, and snacking isn't then pushing you over your calorie target or whatever it might be, then snacking is absolutely fine. And actually, snacking, depending on what foods you're having as snacks, might actually be very good for helping you manage your hunger. So if you're having low calorie, high volume and high protein snacks, that might be great for, again, helping manage that hunger and therefore actually helping you manage calories in total and stay within a calorie deficit. So snacking isn't necessarily bad, could be beneficial, but again, it depends on you as an individual and your preferences. So there you have it. 3 more terms, phrases and opinions and whether or not they are correct. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please drop a like. If you have any questions throughout this, throw them down below. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do go ahead and do so, because you'll be an absolute legend and you can keep up with future videos. Take care and I'll catch you on the next one.